Let's bake a delightful cake. What kind of cake? A pound cake. Everybody loves pound cake, and the great thing about pound cake is that it keeps, I'm not a freezer person, but you can freeze it. It's very rich and delightful and yummy, and it's good for drop-bys. And as we know, the holidays are full of drop-bys, or as Seinfeld says, the drop-in. And I always think everybody's a character from Seinfeld. You can be combination characters. For instance, obviously I'm George, with a tiny smear of Elaine. So think, who are you? And right below who you are. Anyway, let's make some pound cake. You need a mixer. I was telling the guys, I saw a commercial for a KitchenAid mixer, and I'm like, you have to advertise that? Guess whose recipe we're gonna use for our pound cake? King Arthur Baking, what a surprise. I bought this super cute loaf pan. Aww. Look at that, it's Nordic ware. I would love to tour their factory. They have beautiful factory tours. If you've ever had a problem getting your cakes out of the pan, try Nordic ware and use spray. I use Everbake. It's, you know I use this. It works. It's literally just sprayed oil. I haven't had a single problem with any cake since I bought this stuff. I'm gonna do this over the garbage can, but of course, as our great fan told you, you can stick these in the dishwasher and do it in the dishwasher. Okay? Now I'm just gonna wipe that quickly, a little bit, with a cloth, a paper cloth. So this is perfectly prepared. I've set the oven to 325, but of course, because it's my oven, it could be any temperature. Now, do you know why a pound cake is called pound cake? Because the recipe is essentially a pound of each ingredient. Or it was a pound of each ingredient. Now it's a little more precise, but we're just gonna make a very simple vanilla almondy pound cake. You could use essentially any bundt pan. The question is, can you cook a regular cake in a bundt pan? The answer is no. Can you cook a pound cake in a bundt pan? Yes, okay. So I'm gonna get a sharp knife. What knife should I use? Parusi. I'm gonna cut 14 tablespoons, which is a deeply inconvenient measurement, actually. Softened butter. I like plus gras. It's not too fatty, so it doesn't melt the same way as like Kerrygold, which I wouldn't use for baking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I mean, seriously. Pound cake, pound it out. I'm just gonna run this for a second. Then I'm gonna add the sugar. This is 1.5 cups of sugar. I'm using the regular sugar, not the caster sugar. I don't know why, but my brain told me to do that. This is something you can do in the morning. You can bake this on if you have a couple hours off, you can do this, or on a Sunday. Incorporate. Now I'm gonna add cream cheese. Now I have recently rediscovered cream cheese. And something that you might not know about it is that it's quite nutritious. And it's very low calorie. If you put an actual schmear and not 4 pounds of it on your bagel, it's not that crazy, and it's as creamy and delicious as butter. The ounces are here, so 1, 2, 3. Parusi. That's 3 ounces. This is a cake, if you could serve it for a fancy dinner, or you could just have it to cut for friends as they drop by. It's good with a glass of Madeira. You know, Madeira cake, which is essentially this, that's a fun cake, but it's, this would be good with a glass of Sauterne, or a glass of Madeira, or port. It's a pretty easy cake, very Christmassy. You could put Christmas flavors in it. A little bit of Yuletide cheer from King Arthur, which is a very good spice blend. You could put a little bit of allspice in it, a little bit, you know, nutmeg in it. You could do whatever you want. It takes any flavor. You could also soak it with booze if you wanted. This is becoming incorporated. Wow, that looks very nice and fluffy. You see how kind of light that looks? And the other thing I would suggest, I know you guys already know this, is when you're making cakes, have a thing where you can put this. That's a drag. Now it takes 5 eggs, and we're going to incorporate them one at a time, okay? So 1, 2, I always take them and put them separately, so in case I lose count. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna put in 1 egg. And I'm gonna incorporate this, each one, before we put in the next one. So you want the batter to be light in color and fluffy, not like, for instance, a spice cake batter or something. It should be quite light. This recipe appears flawless to me. Sometimes when we get the recipes, I'm like, eh. The most amazing one being that angel food cake that just worked out amazingly. Remember that angel food cake? It's a good rhythm. Oh, speaking of rhythm, do you guys know this kid, Alex Schumacher? He is this kid drummer. I mean, he has millions of followers, but it's holy cow. Watch this kid play what da na 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 na. What song is that? That's the best one. Okay, these are incorporated. I'm now going to add some almond extract. Use it sparingly. And I'm gonna use some vanilla paste. That amount. Oh, and a little bit of almond extract. Tiny bit, like that. And scrape down the sides. Looks pretty light and fluffy to me. Now I'm going to put a teaspoon of baking powder into the flour. So you should use a fork, but I'm going to use one of these just to incorporate that. So if by chance the baking powder gets stuck, you don't want that. You want it to be generally incorporated. Hold on. Ah, we did it wrong. That's hilarious. Okay, here we go. Ha! We did it wrong. Yeah, that's funny. This may not work. Okay. You're supposed to put the flour in before the eggs, but we're gonna try this. They don't want you to use the creaming method, which is interesting. I'm just gonna spoon this into this container, which is much easier than loading a bundt pan. That sounds like when fireworks go up, the first sound. Wait, it did before. I'm just gonna push the top a little bit. I'm not really paying too much attention to this because it will immediately settle when it gets in the heat. But I just want to make sure it's somewhat even. 325 oven for about 80 minutes. It's going to be dense. It's, pound cake is dense. So let's take it to the stage. Okay. So with my stove, of course, you have to remove the clothespins. This, we discovered it's actually hotter sometimes and lower sometimes. So I'm putting this in a center rack in the center, obviously. Closing. I lost some heat there. Inserting my clothespins. and lowering this to 325. Good luck, little cake. So I overfilled the pan so it overflowed a little bit. It's not the end of the world, but it did overflow. But we can always cut that off. Okay? This is a new pan. So it may or may not work. We're gonna do this. I use a wet cloth to do this, usually. It's the most precision way to do it. That's a beautiful pan. So we are gonna trim this probably with a sharp knife, but honestly, does it really matter? No, you made a cake for your friends. I might wanna cut this off when it's dry, just so this side is a little better. It's just because we overfilled it. It's not a big mystery. It's beautiful, tender. I'm absolutely thrilled with that pan. That is stunning. What can you serve it with? Whipped cream, ice cream, a little limoncello, a glass of Madeira, macerated fruit. That would be delightful. Don't you like the sound of pound cake? What da na 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 na. What song is that?